Hey folks, Harbor Master here. I don't normally do screencasts, but this new feature of RStudio demanded me to do this. I had no choice. I did some static screen caps on Twitter in a tweet storm. It really doesn't do it justice. You have to see this new feature. So the latest RStudio dailies, I'm running this particular daily, support something called jobs, which are background tasks that RStudio manages for you. And I think the preview edition supports it because there is a RStudio 1.2 preview edition. I use dailies. You try them out. You figure it out what you need to use. So we have a new jobs pane, and what this lets us do is we're going to be able to let it run scripts and potentially copy the current environment to those scripts, and then load the data from those scripts that is generated into our environment, all while we get other work done. Yep, no more coffee breaks while you let long things run. Sorry, folks. Or having to do things like hack scripts together and store your own data files out, etc. So we're going to do two different things, and we're going to launch them both. Then I'll talk about them because they take about 2 minutes, and I don't want to waste your time. So what I've got is a scraping idiom where we're going to take the first 100 sites from the Lexis top 1 million, grab them into the respective response objects. One type will be Python and one type will be R. Yes, Python. You'll see that in a second. And then we're going to do some work with them. But before, and while we're waiting for things to run, we're going to do some other work. So let's launch this, and we'll launch this first one. So we're going to start the job. It defaults to what we have in here. You can browse to any script you have. You can set a working directory. I mean, if you have to load files via the working directory path, go for it. You should probably do a better job managing paths instead of that, though. You can copy your environment to it like you can with some of the other 4K models and process models our scripts have. And we can copy the data to the global environment. So when we're done, we should see this top 100 and this sgat function in our global environment. It should automatically load that into there for us. So let's do that and let that run. We get a little progress bar, see something's happening in that particular console session, and we have a much bigger, brighter. Maybe that should be a little thinner, Gary. Progress bar here. So we have this Python script which does the same thing. Difference with this one is I'm pickling, basically saving the data out. That's Python serialization from it is pickle, like R has our data files. It serializes the objects just like our data files serialize our objects to there. This is their format. We're going to save it out because we can't have this natively because it doesn't run Python natively. We have to do this, and it's not a problem because R is kind of doing the same thing anyway. It just had some of the magic from us. This is our shell around there, so we're going to load reticulate. We're going to run this Python config because I have a lot of Python interpreters on my system. That's one I want to use. It's going to use that script, and we're going to see why we can't use that object. Now, there may be a hack for that. Maybe the folks at RStudio have a way to do this, or someone that does reticulate better than I do can do that. But right now, you're going to see why it's not usable, but see how we actually can use that instead. So we're going to start this job, basically the same stuff, and we are still going to copy it to the environment so you can see why we can't use that particular script. It's loading its little thing there. We got both of them running at the same time. One's running a little longer than I wanted to do, but that's okay. Now, while we're doing all that stuff, we have full productivity. You see I'm clicking in RStudio. I'm doing stuff. We can actually go to the console. I can type ls to prove to you that I'm not just hiding stuff with a blank window. So we have full interactivity while we're letting these things run. So we can do things like plot a nice plot, right? Everyone uses Harbor themes, I think. So you can see that beautiful plot that you're all used to expecting because you see that. We can run other commands, including networky stuff. We're not limited. So this is a Google DNS query thing, so you can run secure DNS over HTTPS queries if you ever need to look up stuff from your R stuff. This is a fun query to do with the text record because you get a cool text data response with an XKD script URL that you should go to. It's kind of funny. And so we're doing all this stuff while we're actually, working from there. We can even run add-ins, right? We can see what's going on with GitHub with people. This is my GitHub activity feed. Yes, I still look at people's stuff there, even though I'm not going to post a whole lot of stuff there anymore. And we can see, yes, we're working with RStudio like we would do anything else with RStudio. So let's take a look at the jobs menu. It looks like the Alexa.R script finished. Hint to RStudio, maybe add a notification API, and we can start working with this data. So here we go, and we have all of our HTTR response objects in this beautiful list that we have here. Let's bring the console up and clear it so we can work with that data while we're waiting for Python to finish, right? So let's go through and just count up all of the server headers that we got back. So there it is, and the top 100 is there. We've got it, and there's a bunch of NAs because a bunch of stuff didn't return things. Or some things didn't or failed to load completely because that's why we did things safely. And we have everything that we need there. And we can play with all those things and have access to all the HT response objects. And while we've been doing that, the Python job finished. And so let's take a look what it threw into the environment. So this is our not really usable Python environment. It's got pointers, like if we do a stir on it, and I'm not going to do that, but we actually get access. We can see that there's some data there. but it doesn't feel really usable to me. It feels kind of hacky. There might be a way to do it. I'm not going to deal with hacky stuff. So what I'm just going to do is we're going to use Reticulate, and we're just going to load that data up manually ourselves, just so we have nice access to at least decent R versions of these objects, right? So there's our nice response objects, very similar to the HTTR response objects that we can do from there. And now when we do that, we can take a look at those more directly instead of just believing what RStudio tells us. So there we go. And we can now look at that data and do basically the same thing on that data from there. So once this goes into the final version of RStudio, we'll probably have tons of documentation, great tutorials from the RStudio team. They do amazing work. And I am super eager to start working with this even more than it is now, and hopefully everyone else is too. And hopefully this example helped you jumpstart into this. Don't worry about running the dailies; they've been great for me lately. So if you're a little bit reticent, don't be reticent. Hopefully the previews will have it too, because they're a little bit more stable. But hopefully people will enjoy this.